I have many lenses that I use for wedding photography. I have the 50mm, 35mm primes, I have a 16-35 f4 and the 70-200 f2.8. But one of these lenses is my absolute favourite and I just cannot live without it. In my opinion, it's an absolute must-have for every wedding photographer and it will really up the level of your photos within an instant. And that lens is the 70-200 f2.8. This lens is an absolute beast and there are so many reasons why I love this lens in general, but these are the reasons why I absolutely love it for wedding photography and why you should get one. For starters, 70-200 is just a great focal range. It's so versatile from 70mm to 200mm. You get so much coverage within that focal range and it just makes it so versatile when you are shooting out in the day. It's perfect if you're far away, such as speeches or the ceremony sometimes. If you can't get closer with a 35mm, then you just use your 70-200 and you can really frame them up perfectly no matter where you are. And if you have an APS-C sensor, it more likely probably becomes like 100 to 250mm maybe, and that's just even better if you are further away or if you just want that extra reach. But what I really do love it for is it really does make the subjects pop, and with wedding photography you really want to take the best photos possible. It's got super amazing image quality as well. It's super sharp. The compression it gives as well at 70 to 200mm is unbelievable, and that's really what does make the photo, is the compression really. It's not something you see every day and it's just why I absolutely love this lens. Another reason why I love the 70-200 focal range is because of just natural candids. Because if you're far away, people don't know you're there, people don't know you're taking photos of them, so they're just going to be their natural self. If they're shy having their photos taken and they don't know you're taking the photo, then even better, because that's when they get to be their natural self. That's when they can start laughing, smiling, really organically. But if you're up there up close with a 35mm right over someone's shoulder looking directly at them, they might get a little bit uncomfortable, look at the camera, not smile, and it might just seem a little bit off because they don't like taking the photos. That's why, even though I love the 35mm, a lot of the time for candids I do use the 70-200 just because I will really love their natural candid photos, and I think it's the best way to get them in my opinion. Now of course I have the 70-200 f2.8 version, and that is one reason why I love this lens for wedding photography as well, is because of the f2.8 aperture. You can really separate the subjects from the background using just the compression in general anyway, but having an f2.8 really does separate them from the background and just make the subjects pop. At 200mm, the compression is so much that you have a lovely creamy background anyway. However, at 70mm, I really do think the 2.8 helps this lens out a lot, because if it was the f4 version, the background just won't be as blurry and the bokeh won't be as good. That's why I really do suggest you get an f2.8 version if you are looking to get a 70-200, just because that f2.8 aperture really does make all the difference. Even though it doesn't seem like it, an f2.8 to an f4, saving like £1,000, but I really do think it's worth it, not only for background bokeh but also for low light capabilities as well. The amount of times where I actually wish I had a lower aperture of like f2 than an f2.8 because of the low light situations, especially in the winter now. It's getting darker earlier, you need more light. An f2.8 aperture over an f4 is going to be all the difference in the world. That's why I do not use my 16-35mm f4, which is over there, mainly because it's f4. I only use it with flash mainly, and I do actually struggle a little bit with this lens. Inside, sometimes I do have to bump my ISO up to about 2000, 2500, but with the Canon R6 Mark II, bumping your ISO that high really doesn't make that much of a difference at all. You can still get amazing clean images at high ISOs, and that's where as well the cons come into this play with this lens, because it's not perfect at all. And like I said about the f2.8 aperture is so good and it is okay at low light situations, but when it is just a low light room and you're at night, f2.8 just isn't enough sometimes. You do want to go down to f1.8 or below it if you can, to an f1.4 or f1.2. This is where I mainly put on my primes, like my 50mm or my 35mm, just because it goes down to f1.8. If this lens went down any further, then that would be perfect. However, the price would be a lot more expensive. But still talking about some of the other cons, as obviously it's not perfect in every situation, because in some scenarios you're going to be in a small room, you're going to be like in a little hotel room, you're going to be in a little main reception, and you are going to have to use a 35mm or 50mm. You're not going to be able to get away with a 70-200 in small rooms if you want to get the majority of the people in, or if you just want to get like a nice frame, because it would just be way too compressed, way too tight on their face, and it just probably won't look that good. So obviously, even though it's my favorite lens, it's not perfect for the entire day, and I don't think a lot of you expect it to be perfect for the entire day. But even though it's not perfect for a lot of them scenarios, it's still my favorite lens, just because it really does take them images from beginner to intermediate, straight up to professional straight away. Now, even though it's such an amazing lens for wedding photography, it still comes at another con, and that's just the weight of it, especially this EF version. It's absolutely massive. It's absolutely so heavy as well, and it really does make my arms ache when I do use it. However, it is worth it in the long run, mainly because of the actual image quality and the pictures I get out of it. It's just so worth it using it because of it's just the image quality and the photos it produces is just out of this world. But it doesn't have to be a 70-200 at all. It can be an 85mm f1.8 or to an f1.2. It can be 135mm f1.8. It can be any lens really that's in a way a telephoto lens, because in my opinion, a real high quality telephoto lens like a 70-200 85mm or 135mm prime really does make all the difference in the world and just makes them photos way more professional than if you was using a 35mm or 24mm. I'm not saying a 35mm or 24mm isn't professional at all, because obviously it is, but because it's a wider angle lens and it's so close than what you can replicate on a phone, even though the image quality is way better, but to the average person, a 24mm lens, it's very similar to a 24mm lens on a phone. If you're using a very high quality telephoto lens, that is going to make all the difference in the world, because to the ordinary person, they don't see that every day, and it really does make the subjects pop, and it really does make the images that much better. And if you do get either an 85 or 135mm prime, you're obviously losing the reach of a 70-200, but you're gaining a faster lens at either f1.8 or even down to f1.2, which is going to produce way more beautiful bokeh backgrounds, and it's also going to be so much better in low light if you have like an f1.4 lens than an f2.8 lens. So it's just your choice really. You're trading off versatility of the 70-200 to get lower light capabilities, but then obviously if you're getting lower light capabilities, you're losing the reach of the 70-200. Overall, I just think a telephoto lens, a really high quality one, is super important for any wedding photographer or any photographer in general really. However, when I say a telephoto lens, don't go and buy the kit lens 24-105. Don't go and buy a 24-240 lens. But they're variable aperture lenses, which means when you zoom in, the aperture changes, the image will get darker, and then your photo could be underexposed. You can give it a go, but I reckon give it a couple months and you wish that you saved up the money, spent the big bucks on the quality lenses and just upgraded sooner. So if I were you, don't waste your money on a kit lens or a variable aperture telephoto lens. I really do think you should save up and just wait that a little bit extra longer so you can afford a really high quality telephoto lens, that being a zoom or a prime. So let me know your favorite lens in the comments below. Is it a 70-200? Is it a 35mm prime? Is it a 16-35? Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and thank you very much for watching. Good luck on your next weddings, and I'll see you guys on the next one. See you later.